Good evening, everyone. Let us prepare ourselves for the national anthem. Let us bow our heads in prayer. Almighty God, you are the beginning and end of all things, the source of everything that we have and everything that we are. We thank you for having allowed us to be members of the teaching profession and entrusting to us the education of our young people. We recognize the greatness of our vocation as well as the serious responsibility placed on our shoulders. And while mindful of our own limitations, we promise you, God, always to strive to improve our skills with which you have endowed us. Strengthen us when our ideals seem to be failing and when we tend to look at things in a negative way. Help us, O God, to be true exemplars, in deed as well as in words, to our students, and to have a special care for those whose family life is defective or non-existent. Bless our association and give to all our officers and members joy in the work of education. Help us, finally, O God, to be true friends to our fellow teachers and grant, when you call us out of this world, we may come to you to receive the eternal reward which you in your infinite mercy has prepared for us. Amen. It's with great pleasure this afternoon that I introduce our host for this evening, Miss Patricia Eversley, the voice of TTUTA Speaks. So let us welcome Miss Patricia Eversley, who will take us through this evening's proceedings.
Thank you very much, Luann. Are you all hearing me?
Yes, we are.
Great. So good afternoon again and Happy New Year to all. When the chairman of the Committee for Gender Issues, Ms. Indra Ramsingh Jofa, told me about this, I jumped at the opportunity to be here. I am so pleased to be involved. I know we promised you 2 for the price of 1. However, my appointed co-host, Mr. Nigel Ficaro, is unavoidably absent. I know he would have definitely wanted to be here. So instead, you have the 3 of us, me, myself, and I, to carry you through the program. So for the rest of the program, it is advisable that you turn on your videos. However, if you do start to experience problems with your bandwidth, you can turn them back off. And here we go to the salutations. Mrs. Antonia Tika de Freitas, President of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association. Ms. Roberta Clark, President of the Coalition of Domestic Violence. Peer counselors, national and appointed officers. National officers elected and appointed. Members of the Central Executive Committee and district chairmen. All invitees, members of the media. Good afternoon. Today we are here for the launch of the Coalition for the Peer Counselling Tutor Initiative. Without further ado, I would like to welcome to the podium the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association. It is said that a leader is one who influences not the minds of those who are led, but the hearts of her followers. So here we have Mrs. Antonia Tika de Freitas, who continuously influences us and our hearts. Mrs. de Freitas.
Thank you, Madam Chair, to you, yourself, and you for welcoming me to the virtual podium. Blessed New Year, everyone, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. National officers, elected and appointed officials of the CADV, Coalition Against Domestic Violence, chair and members of the Committee on Gender Issues, members of TTUTA, members of the media. There is never an easy time for us to discuss difficult issues. And indeed, gender-based violence, domestic violence is a difficult issue for some of us. Many of us may not have experienced it in any form or fashion. We hear about it in passing. But at the end of the day, as members of our professional organizations, such as TTUTA, we see it as our responsibility to our peers to lend support to those who may have been affected or afflicted, and to build a community of persons who can walk that road to recovery and strengthen themselves emotionally, mentally, and even physically. Permit me to extend thanks to the members of the CADV who participated in the training months ago of our peer counselors, and thank you for continuing to support this initiative. To the peer counselors themselves who have volunteered their time and their services to assist their peers, their colleagues, to assist other members of TTUTA. May God's blessings be with you as we embark upon this journey. To the members of the Committee on Gender Issues of TTUTA, thank you for bringing this initiative to the fore, and we wish everyone God's blessings for the new year and success in this project. Do enjoy the rest of the launch this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. de Freitas. It's said by Becky Broden. I have the quote here. Becky Broden once said, "Leadership is not wielding power, it is empowering people." And there you saw a perfect example of leadership empowering the people of TTUTA. Moving right along into the program, John Wesley said, "Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can." And with those words, I would like to introduce Ms. Roberta Clark of the Coalition of Domestic Violence to bring her remarks. Ms. Clark.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Good afternoon, President of TTUTA, Ms. Antonia de Freitas, members of the executive of TTUTA, my friends in the Committee for Gender Affairs, members of the media, friends all. I want to thank the TTUTA for its invitation to the Coalition Against Domestic Violence to be part of this launch today. And I bring greetings on behalf of the Coalition Against Domestic Violence. For those of you who don't know, the Coalition Against Domestic Violence is a non-governmental organization, and our members are comprised of shelters, children's homes, and organizations and individuals working to end all forms of gender-based violence, and in particular, domestic violence and child abuse. Through its work, we're committed to ensuring that children, women, and men of Trinidad and Tobago live in environments free from physical, emotional, sexual, and psychological violence and harm. So the CADV is not as old as TTUTA. We were formed in 1988, and it has taken us quite a while to have a partnership with TTUTA, but we're really happy that it has happened. In 2018, we started talk with TTUTA on the development of a partnership around a program which we called Education for Equality and Empathy. And the idea of this program, it was based on the understanding that teachers have a central role as agents of socialization. You all interact with children, 5, 6, 7 hours a day, in all sorts of ways. And so really a powerful space for the formation of attitudes and values and the reformation of attitudes and values. And we were thinking of how prevalent domestic violence is in Trinidad and Tobago. And notwithstanding really the very best efforts on law reform, Trinidad and Tobago has a really excellent Domestic Violence Act and Children Act, notwithstanding improvements in policing, improvements in court services, and of course these are also services that we need to continue to pay attention to. But we wanted to do something more around prevention, not just response. And if we're looking at prevention, there's no way we can avoid the centrality of the education sector for preventing the formation of social norms that are the basis of harmful behavior, in particular domestic violence. So the idea behind this project, Education for Empathy and Equality, are threefold. One, to promote the leadership of teachers as agents of values of empathy and equality, which we see as critical to preventing gender-based violence. Secondly, to provide peer counseling services for teachers who are affected by domestic violence, either because they've been harmed or they may also be perpetrating. And thirdly, to develop, promote educational, recreational materials, more recreational materials for children, which would reinforce the message of zero tolerance for gender-based violence, which would reinforce the values of self-respect and respect for others. And so by the end of 2019, we signed a memorandum of understanding with TTUTA, which we're really very proud about. But then, we got into 2020 and, well, the pandemic, occurred, and the shift from physical school to virtual school affected how we would implement the project Education for Empathy and Equality. However, by 2021, almost in the first week of school, we got the terrible news of the killing of teacher Suzette Sylvester. I think she was from Presal. And that, I think, sort of jump-started all of us again to think about how we could support teachers, how teachers could support teachers, given a listening ear, active listening ear, and referral services if they needed to get out of situations of harm, and also to prevent them from doing harm. And so we think of, in this moment today, we think of Suzette Sylvester. We honor her memory. We call on ourselves and on everyone to not let this tragedy be in vain, that we pick up from this tragedy so that we can be more present for each other and more helpful and supportive in preventing harm. I want to just end by saying, for us, there's any number of studies that show that children who experience harm and who witness harm are likely to go on as adults to be perpetrators, but also to be victims of domestic violence. So interrupting the intergenerational transmission of domestic violence and attitudes which are tolerant of domestic violence is very, very critical. And so for us, the education sector is a key sector, and our partnership with TTUTA for the Coalition Against Domestic Violence is so critical. TTUTA is such a leader in many ways, a moral leader, an ethical leader. TTUTA as a body and its membership, the thousands of teachers who every day are on the front lines, giving their service, providing care, providing empathy, providing emotional nourishment for the children of Trinidad and Tobago. And we want to honor that, and we thank TTUTA for accepting the partnership with us on this project. And I want to just in closing thank Indra and her team, the Committee for Gender Affairs, for kickstarting the peer counseling component of this project. And we hope that the other elements of this project can come on stream as soon as things regularize, and even before things regularize, because what we do know is that in times of COVID and the lockdown, many children are experiencing harm and many women are experiencing harm in the home. So we do think it's also as a matter of urgency that we think about how we can all be together, whole of society, to be on the front lines of preventing gender-based violence. Thank you very much. Ms. De Freitas, for your invitation to me, and I wish you and TUTA, your membership, your executive, all the fortitude that you need in these trying times.
Thank you very much, Ms. Clark, for those remarks. Kahil Gibran said, work is love made visible. And you can see from her remarks that Ms. Clark is very passionate about the work that the Coalition of Domestic Violence does. In addition, it is said that those who see with loving eyes, life is beautiful. To those who speak with tender voices, life is peaceful. To those who help with gentle hands, life is full. And to those who care with compassionate hearts, life is good beyond measure. And we know that Ms. Clark has a life that is good beyond all measure because she definitely displays that care with compassionate hearts. And now we invite the third Vice President of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, Mr. Darren Lehan. He is also a leader in TUTA, and one of my leadership quotes, leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. And through his office, the Committee of Gender Issues was able to visualize all of this and bring it into reality. So without further ado, let us welcome Mr. Darren Lehan, third Vice President.
Thank you very much, Ms. Eversley, for those lovely words of introduction. To the President, Ms. Antonia Tika de Freitas, Ms. Roberta Clark of the Coalition Against Domestic Violence, peer councillors, elected and appointed officers of TUTA, all invited guests here this afternoon. The Peer Counseling Program was an initiative of the Committee on Gender Issues. This was brought about in 2018. The chairman of the committee, together with Ms. Roberta Clark and Ms. Sabrina Maula Baksh of the CADV, held discussions on this initiative, and the idea was brought forward to TUTA. Through the office of the third vice president, meetings were held with all the persons involved. We saw the need for such a program, as the association would have had at least 2 female members who died as a result of domestic violence. Members of the Committee on Gender Issues saw the need for the peer counseling program as they saw the rise in domestic violence during the COVID-19 pandemic. The proposal from the committee was taken to the Central Executive, and it eventually materialized in December of 2020. With this approval, the program was advertised for interested members of TUTA to apply for the first cohort of 10 persons to be trained. The criterion for selection and training was developed with the help of a subcommittee and CADV personnel. There was, as a result, advertisements where 90 interested persons forwarded their requests. There, however, were a total of 35 completed applications. Of this, the committee shortlisted 15 persons for interviews. The interviews were held at CADV headquarters on Thursday, 11 February 2021. And from those interviews, 10 persons were selected for the training. The training was held over a 3-day period at the UTT campus of the Monroe Road flyover. It was held on Friday the 25th, Thursday the 25th, Friday the 26th, and Saturday 27th February 2021, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The facilitators were Ms. Kahima Bayer, psychologist, and Ms. Sabrina Maula Baksh of the CADV. The training was opened by none other than our esteemed president, Ms. Antonia Tika de Freitas. The persons selected and trained were from districts in Trinidad and Tobago. These trained personnel will now have the task of performing as peer counselors. I would like to take the opportunity to thank all those persons who would have ensured that this initiative became a reality. the chairman of the Committee on Gender Issues, Ms. Indra Ramsingh Joffa, and the members of the Committee on Gender Issues, together with the national officers, the central executive body, who would have given the blessings to this initiative so that it can be what it is today. To the persons who are going to be performing the duties as peer counselors, we thank you for dedicating your service, taking time out to be trained and to perform those duties on behalf of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association. And we look forward to this peer counseling initiative taking its footing and moving forward as we go into this year 2022 so that we can offer these services to our members who may so need it as we go forward. Thank you very much for this opportunity to give an overview of what the peer counseling program was, and I look forward to those persons doing the duties as peer counselors in TTUTA. Thank you very much and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leham, who reminds me of these words. Be the type of person that no matter where you are or where you go, you always add value to the lives of others around you. Thank you very much, Mr. Leham, for adding value to the life of TTUTA and to those you interact with. And now we take a little break, just interrupt the rhythm of the program for a little bit, and we move into our cultural item. Miss Dabria Batiste is a 13-year-old student of St. Joseph's Convent in San Fernando. She is in Form 2. She enjoys dancing, singing, drama, and playing the steel pan. She is the daughter of Miguela Simon, a name that is very familiar in tutor circles. Miguela was a finalist in one of the Tutor Teacher of the Year competitions. Dabria performs for us a piece entitled No Basis that was composed by her. So without further ado, let us welcome with lusty applause, Miss Dabria Batiste.
Gender-based violence, violence against a particular gender. It is a problem that exists. Why should one gender pick on the other? Try to make it make sense for me now. Aren't we supposed to be each other's keeper? It doesn't matter their culture, whether they are praising Buddha or another. Gender-based violence is so wrong. Can make a person feel down. In the future, it can impact on how they act because they may feel trapped like a rat. There is no specific way to react to something as traumatizing as that. And that's just a fact. It can cause physical and mental suffering, expensive health care costs, and loss of earnings. Some may not even care for their bettering. Can you begin to imagine that feeling? Females are normally the ones who experience this. We have to end. We have to end. We have to end this crisis. 1 minute she happy lying with she family, next to find her in a drain down Sandy Grande in the old cane fields of Caroni, up Maloney or somewhere in the beach in Guayari with bruises all over her body. Like boom, bam, 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 they hit you. Like we can't leave the house no more before they find another one in Barrapo. Listen. Our women's well-being is no longer secure, and we need to ensure that for this cancer, we find a cure. Don't tell me it's how she dressed and thought she was giving you a tease. Oh, please, have some respect. Our women, we are supposed to protect. And don't get me wrong, violence is not only about the physical. You see the game that you're playing with your brain? Hello, this ain't no game of Roblox. Box. Yes, the human mind is a craft for real, but you don't have the authority to put up a house in there as you feel. Half are trying to survive mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. Where are we? A thought just hit me. I have to laugh sarcastically I want you to stop and think about this, my friend. Gender-based violence isn't only against women. There are also men hurting, yearning for help, someone to guide them in their next step. Because while most may not be physical, a tongue lashing from a woman could surely mash up your mental. And for him, arresting those pieces might be more than a task force, of course, because he is a real man and his wounds are not for showing, definitely affecting his psychological well-being. Come on, come on, come on! It's time for the healing. So, here now, yes you, teach your little picnics the right thing to do. Let us start the educational protest, because if we don't, we will have no rest. Tell your friend, come join me in the intellectual gather. Or would you rather to find a loved one in a gutter? Tell the now generation, gender-based violence has no basis. For a better nation, gender-based violence has no basis. For our own salvation, gender-based violence has no basis. Time we change the situation, gender-based violence has no basis. Stop violence against any and any gender. Stop. Make the top priority of your agenda.
Thank you very much, Gabrielle, for that stirring piece. It is said that the nation's treasure is its children. And when I look at that, I realize that Trinidad and Tobago is very rich indeed. We have great treasure. Thank you again, Gabrielle. Margaret Mead once said, never believe that a few caring people can't change the world. For indeed, that's all who ever have. We have a cohort of peer counselors who have been trained, and they may be feeling that they are just a few, and what difference can they make? I would like to invite Ms. Mondi, one of our trained peer counselors, to give a reflection on the program. Welcome, Ms. Mondi.
President of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, Mrs. Antonia Tika de Freitas, all other national officers elected and appointed, President of the Coalition Against Domestic Violence, Ms. Roberta Clark, members of the Committee on Gender Issues, fellow peer counselors, specially invited guests, comrades, good afternoon. Our journey began in January of 2021 with the first release of the virtual announcement by TTUTA asking for volunteers who are interested in becoming peer counselors. The flyer captioned, "Domestic violence. Would you like to make a difference? Become a peer counselor." Following this collaborative announcement between TTUTA and the Coalition Against Domestic Violence, I guess, like me, there was quite a number of us teachers who had a passion to support our colleagues who are desperately in need of a listening ear or a helping hand to escape the stronghold of domestic violence. The application process began. Then we were interviewed. And after a strict selection process, 10 potential peer counselors were selected to be the pioneering cohort. Training was intense, enlightening, bonding, and impactful. In this safe space, we were allowed to speak freely, and so we learned about ourselves and each other. You see, we all had our lives' experiences with domestic violence, whether it was as perpetrators, victims, or even practicing counselors. During these sessions, we were equipped with essential counseling tools. The absolute need for us to function in a realm of confidentiality, professionalism, and empathy was imparted and reinforced in us. These training sessions were authentic and powerful. To all our peers out there, we would like to say that we are here for you. We have made a commitment to you to help when and where we can, and to direct you to the relevant expert sources when the need arises. There are some who do not even recognize that you too might be a victim or even a perpetrator. Don't ignore the warning signs or that gut feeling that you may have. And then there are others who will think it is a sign of weakness to seek help. Because as teachers, we are the ones who help others, right? We are the ones who society, parents, and our students look towards as pillars of strength and even as superhumans without problems or concerns. We walk around with smiles on our faces while carrying traumatizing secrets and painful burdens. But thankfully, TTUTA was sensitive and insightful enough to recognize that its members need help. Help to fight against the horrific consequences of domestic and gender-based violence. So, on behalf of my fellow peer counselors, I would like to encourage you, our peers, to please reach out and utilize this avenue as we, your peer counselors, stand humbly, eagerly, ready, and committed to answer whenever you call. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mondi, and thank you very much for being part of this peer counseling program. And as you and your colleagues go out, I ask you to walk with these words in your mind. Bill Benu said, "How we walk with the broken speaks louder than how we sit with the great." And in addition, we are reminded of the quote, when I get it, I will give it to you. So we will now move to Ms. Eka McPhee to speak on the rollout of the program. And I cannot just introduce Ms. McPhee without some words of inspiration. And it says, "A woman of real beauty, smiles in troubles, gathers strength from distress, and grows brave by reflection and prayers." And with those words, let us welcome a woman of real beauty, Ms. Eka McPhee Estrada.
Thank you, Ms. Elfersley, for such a wonderful introduction. Mrs. Antonia Tika de Freitas, President of the Trinidad and Tobago Teachers, Unified Teachers Association, Ms. Roberta Clark, President of the Coalition of Domestic Violence, peer counselors, elected and appointed officers, members of the Central Executive and District Chairmen, all invitees, members of the media, good afternoon. Today is a significant day as the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, TTUTA, launches its domestic violence peer counseling program. A cohort of 10 committed members, now peer counselors, completed their training and stand ready and willing to serve our members. These peer counselors would act as triage personnel to assess the needs of the client and make the necessary interventions or referrals. All counselors have signed a confidentiality document and is only permitted to share specific information in case of an emergency. The program will be rolled out by January 15th virtually and is as follows. An appointed dispatcher would receive the call or message from a designated telephone number. The dispatcher assigns and confirms with a peer counselor based on an available schedule. Dispatcher contacts the client at a safe time and preferred mode of communication and gives the meeting information. The client will then have weekly sessions with the assigned peer counselor after signing an agreement. Each client gets 1 session per week to a total of 5 sessions via video conferencing only. There will be no teleconferencing. The meetings will be held virtually, and this would be based on the client's choice of platform. Referrals will be done as necessary. Peer counselors will have the needed support of the CADV. At the end of 3 months, there will be a review by the rollout committee, CADV, and the dispatcher, and a general review at the end of 6 months. A new dispatcher will be appointed from among the peer counselors every 3 months. And as we continue with the program, there would be additional opportunities for other persons who are interested in becoming peer counselors to come onto the program. Ladies and gentlemen, I take this opportunity to encourage all of us to be our sister's keeper, our brother's keeper. Share this information and let us all work towards protecting our members. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. McPhee Estrada. And I found the quote, and it is most fitting that I can say it now. It says, "Another day wasn't added because you needed it. It was added because someone out there needs you." So as you walk, equipped to counsel, walk with those words. And now we come to the feature presentation, and I cede the control to our technical assistant, Ms. Nicole Mellon. And here are your peer counselors. Dina Hussein, Dara Lee Williams, Delissa Henderson, Eka McPhee, Hassan Basarani, Carissa Marcus Manuel, Lisa Jack Daniels, Lisa Marie, Timothy. And those are your peer counselors. Making a friend is an act of grace. Having a friend is a gift. Keeping a friend is a virtue, but being a friend is an honor. And now we go to Mr. Hassan Basarali. Thank you, Nicole, for all the work that you've done. and Mr. Basarali is going to affirm the oath on behalf of the peer councillors. Mr. Basarali.
Good evening. Good evening, President of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, our third Vice President, all elected and appointed officers, President of the Coalition Against Domestic Violence, members of the Committee on Gender Issues, fellow peer councillors, comrades, members of the media. I, Hassan Basarali, peer councillor, and on behalf of all 10 peer councillors, hereby declare that all information given to me by a person I am counseling will be held confidential. No information will be given out by me regarding any person that I am asked to counsel. I will not divulge any records concerning any client or patient without proper authorization. As a peer counselor, my concern is for the well-being of the person I am counseling. Therefore, I will maintain a professional relationship with all persons who I am asked to counsel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Basarali. And as we are coming to a close, as you go off to council, everyone wants to be the sun to brighten up someone's life. But why not be the moon to shine on someone's darkest hour? So as you go off, you all are the moon, and your moonlight is intended to shine on domestic violence victims. Shine brightly. So we are coming to the close, but there is one more person who is carded to speak, and I looked for my quotes, and this is the one I found most fitting to introduce the young lady that you are going to be hearing from soon. It says, "The things you do for yourself are gone when you are gone, but the things you do for others remain as your legacy." And that quotation was by Lou Ndukwe Kalu. And with those words, I introduce a young lady who is creating a lasting legacy for TTUTA and for all of those who come in contact with her. She is none other than Ms. Indra Ramsingh Jofa, Chairman of the Committee Gender Issues.
Thank you, Ms. Eversley. Good afternoon to everyone. Ms. Antonia Tika de Freitas, President of TTUTA, Ms. Roberta Clark, President of the Coalition Against Domestic Violence, our peer councillors, all our elected and appointed officers, members of the Central Executive and District Chairman, comrades, members of the media, good afternoon again to all of you. It is with great satisfaction that I am here in the knowledge that we have reached this point of the launch of Domestic Violence Peer Counseling Program. It has been a kind of a longest journey, but we are here and we feel very, very happy to be here. Much has been said by all persons on today's program, and we do look forward to the program being a success. I cannot express appreciation without thanking the persons and organizations who participated along the way to assist the Committee on Gender Issues and TTUTA with our advocacy on the issue of gender-based violence. For those who are not aware, we would have had a series of activities to highlight the issue of gender-based violence. And we really want to thank those persons who were a part of those activities. Therefore, much thanks must go out to Mr. Kevin Chef Williams and Mr. Kervel Baird of the Lost Gens Foundation for Empowerment of Men, TT, as well as Mr. Jason Acquie of the TT Prison Service. Thank you to Ms. Roberta Clark and Ms. Sabrina Maula-Baksh of the Coalition Against Domestic Violence, as well as Ms. Kahima Bayo, who was a part of the training. Thank you also to Mr. Kevin Liverpool of Carryman, Ms. Geneva Dre-Paulsing and Mr. Victor Edwards of Irie Theatre Production, and of course, Ms. Destra Garcia for gracing us at one of our activities. Thank you to Sound Room, to the managements of the UTT Chaguanas and Shalom House, and to the many, many participants who registered for the various events. For today's launch, we know that a lot of thanks have been said, but we must also remember that these people who participated today, we really appreciate your presence, we appreciate your words, and we appreciate you being a part of this launch. Thank you to Ms. Antonia Tika de Freitas, to Ms. Roberta Clark, to Mr. Darren Lehem, to Ms. Dabria Batiste for her work, and to let her know that we are very proud of someone so young to doing this type of advocacy. Also thanks to Dabria's parents, to peer counselor Listra Mondi, Eka McPhee, and Hassan Basarali for the part you played in the program. To the members of the subcommittee of the PNPR Committee, Benefits and Welfare, and the members of the Committee on Gender Issues. Thank you so much for being a part of making this happen. To the peer counselors, you have begun and will continue to volunteer your service, your time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is a special thank you to Ms. Nicole Melhem. Nicole, thank you for your devoted and professional service to this initiative. We cannot thank you enough for the part that you played. I especially thank our hostess, Ms. Patricia Eversley, for the smooth takeoff and landing. The journey was indeed informative, and the ride, Ms. Eversley, was quite enjoyable. Thank you for accepting to be our hostess for this historical launch of the Domestic Violence Peer Counselors Program. Thank you, Mr. Lehem, and thanks to those who I may have forgotten for the part you played in our launch. Thank you, thank you, thank you, as we stand for TUTA's anthem.
And let me just add my last thanks. We thank Ms. Indra Ramsingh Jofa for her continued vision. Jonathan Swift said, "Vision is the art of seeing things invisible." And Indra brings so many invisible ideas to fruition. Thank you again, Ms. Indra Ramsingh Jofa.
Yeah.
And for the TUTA anthem. As we alone can do, for the doctors and lawyers, these and dropouts know that the word of teacher beyond the teaching must go. We know that love you are. We will never forget. The service for us. Ladies and gentlemen, it was indeed a pleasure to be here and to be allowed the opportunity to host today's launch of the peer counseling services. Please do enjoy the rest of your evening and have a productive and blessed week ahead.
Okay.